Hi and welcome. My name is Dorothy Sproler and I'm a sanitation planning expert and researcher advising organizations and communities on sustainable sanitation. Together, we will be exploring why local sanitation planning is important. So why do we focus on the local level? Because growing cities in low and middle income countries tend to be heterogeneous, with different areas of very different characteristics from a physical and socio-economic point of view. So you can see that in this picture. In the top you have a high income developed area, whereas in the bottom you have a low income informal settlement. Local planning allows to consider these heterogeneities and makes planning inclusive. Also, for the needs of the millions of global citizens across the world that live in unserved or underserved informal settlements as shown in the bottom. In this module, you will get to understand why local level sanitation is important. You will get to know community-led urban environmental sanitation clues for local planning in low-income or informal areas. You will also recognize why local level planning has to be linked to citywide approaches. From a planning perspective, we can structure the city into 4 domains: the domain of the household, the community, the municipality, and the state. Although each of the domains can be looked at separately, they interact with each other. For instance, a toilet design has to respond to the requirements of the local community, but it also has to fulfill higher-level legal requirements. The local level is the domain of the household and the community. Each domain requires its planning approach. On a citywide level, Sanitation 21 or city sanitation planning. For the local level, we will be presenting clues, what stands for community-led urban environmental sanitation. Local planning is important in order to consider the heterogeneity of the city and to allow to consider specific local needs and conditions. The result will be a mix of sanitation systems appropriate for different contexts that address the city in an inclusive way. The most difficult spatial contexts to deal with are undoubtedly the rapidly expanding peri-urban areas surrounding most cities and the informal settlements. In these areas, formal or utility services are hardly available. They are characterized by rapid growth, high density, and a lack of human and financial resources. So let us look a bit at the complexities at the local level. First, we need to think which type of sanitation system is most appropriate where. This results in a mix of different solutions, from centralized sewer-based systems to on-site latrines with fecal sludge management. Second, sanitation services must be planned along with other basic services such as water, solid waste, or electricity. And thirdly, we have to engage with different stakeholders in order to align the local, technical, financial, and institutional solutions with citywide planning. Community-led urban environmental sanitation or CLUES addresses these complexities through 4 principles. Firstly, CLUES places the neighborhood and community at the core of the planning process, and with this it complements citywide strategic planning. Secondly, it employs both expert and community knowledge. Thirdly, it encourages resource conservation and reuse recycling when and if possible. And fourthly, it is based on the concept of domains and tries to solve problems within the domain nearest to where the problem arises. To sum up, it's people-centered, it involves a multi-stakeholder approach, it tries to come up with local solutions wherever possible, and lastly, it tries to promote environmental, sustainable sanitation. While local planning is important to address the complexities, it is also essential to make citywide planning inclusive. Nevertheless, local planning decisions have to be aligned with planning at the other domains. This will allow to balance conflict of interest and to tap into synergies. For instance, Fecal sludge treatment plants can serve several communities. Operation and maintenance services can also be made accessible across communities, or citywide financing mechanism can be used to cover the local investments. To align local level planning with citywide approaches, planning has to be carried out in parallel. For instance, conducting a CLUES process along with the Sanitation 21 process. This can be put in practice through citywide planning objectives that are aligned with local and state-level actors. The SaniChoice Practitioner's Guide provides one option how to develop such aligned objectives. In summary, we have learned that the urban area can be structured into 4 domains: the domain of the household, the community, the municipality, and the state. Second, local level planning is important to consider the specific local needs and conditions and the complexities of urban sanitation, especially in informal low-income areas. Thirdly, CLUES is a planning approach that applies to the local level with 4 principles. It's people-centered, multi-stakeholders, it considers local solutions, and it fosters sustainable sanitation. However, local planning has to be aligned with citywide planning, ensuring an inclusive approach resulting in a mix of sanitation systems, each appropriate for a given area or population segment.